Alright guys, Revolver Russell here, and today I will be reviewing, let me just move back a bit. Today I will be reviewing the September 12th edition of Monday Night Raw. This, of course, show would follow up on last week's events of Roman Reigns not attacking Kevin Owens, but announcing basically that he also wanted a shot at the WWE Universal title. Mick Foley would make a matchup for this week's show between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. If Roman Reigns won, he would be added to the matchup between Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens at Clash of Champions. If he lost, it would be a one-on-one with Owens and Rollins. That was the only thing we really had built upon this show. However, in the end, I think this was actually a pretty good show. There's some really good angles and a couple of directions I really liked. Some really good wrestling, to be honest. So let's get right into the show. We kicked off with Mick Foley coming out discussing the current state of the women's division, and he would be followed by the women's champion Charlotte with Dana Brooke, as well as Sasha Banks and Bayley. Now, they really screwed up the women's division on this brand in the fact that we had Sasha announced she would be facing Charlotte, but then Charlotte lost to Bayley, so it really made sort of contested the idea that that Sasha should be the #1 contender when Bayley is pinning the champion. Not fully clean, but pretty much clean. So in the end, Foley basically acknowledged that and said that tonight, to kick off the show, we would have a triple threat match between Dana Brooke, Sasha Banks and Bayley, with the winner getting Charlotte at the pay-per-view. Dana was added to the matchup only after she smacked Charlotte, which I thought, please don't turn Dana Brooke heel. She's incredibly green. She isn't over. She should be and in terms of actually being the wrong face heel, Sasha Banks really should be a heel. And it really summed it up when she came out and interrupted Mick Foley, the babyface general manager. So Sasha should be a heel. But anyway, we had the matchup, Sasha, Bayley and Dana. Decent little matchup, a little bit flat at the beginning, but as they came back from the break, a lot of good stuff happened. In the end, a Banks statement would be broken up by Bayley, who would then hit a Bayley to belly on Dana Brooke. Sasha Banks would then quickly roll up Bayley with both women's shoulders down, but Sasha Banks would be given the win. Now, I hope that this leads to something next week with Bayley giving another opportunity, because I feel like they should do the women's three-way between these three, because, you know, that should be built up and we shouldn't be thrusting Bayley into the title picture as soon as possible. But because Bayley's better at chasing the belt than actually holding the belt. Remember, she was more over going against Sasha at Brooklyn than she ever was defending the belt. So we shouldn't have Bayley just immediately win the belt. She should have to chase it for a while. But it does not make sense that Sasha Banks and Bayley's shoulders were both down and Sasha was named the victor. Everyone noticed these women's shoulders were down. It was incredibly obvious, and they didn't follow up on the show, which to me was a little bit disappointing. After that, we had Charlotte backstage, and she basically shouted at Dana Brooke. Whatever. Dana Brooke, it seemed like it turned babyface, but then didn't, so, whatever, you know, I couldn't care. I don't like Dana Brooke. And what I did like about this segment, though, is Dana Brooke came back and she was like, I am so sorry. And at that point, I was like, so it was a ploy. It was a ploy to get Dana Brooke in the matchup, where if she won, she would just lie down for Charlotte. That story makes sense. And I actually liked that. But overall, this segment was just there, and Charlotte just shouted again. Charlotte is a great promo, but when she just shouts, she sounds like she's never cut a promo before in her life. So, not the greatest segment here. The Shining Stars and R-Truth, and then Enzo and Cass would have a segment backstage. It was pointless. And that's all I really need to say about it. Tom Phillips would then interview Kevin Owens, the Universal Champion. Owens would again joke and be great as usual, talk about beating Roman Reigns later on in the show. Chris Jericho would then come up and talk about how he was going to have Kevin Owens on his highlight reel tonight, and it would be the biggest highlight reel of all time, but because he has a matchup, he could not, and he would then have Sami Zayn instead. That would be the next... Oh no, that wouldn't be the next segment. The next segment would be... Jericho was great in this segment as usual. Jericho is honestly so good at his job. like, better than anyone on that roster at their job. He is so great at being a heel, at being funny, at being entertaining. So great. Bo Dallas would then have another squash match. I had very little interest in this matchup. He won with a crossroads variation. He didn't quite spin all the way, but it was very much a spinning faceplant. You know, Bo Dallas to me, it doesn't seem like he's being punished for being caught in the airport drunk. It seems like he's being rewarded with a push. Bo Dallas really shouldn't be getting a push. And with the two big squash matches we have normally, Braun Strowman and Nia Jax, Braun Strowman would not be on the show. It feels like Bo Dallas just isn't necessary with two big squash monsters at the moment anyway. So to me, Bo Dallas, I guess they want him on the show, they want him doing something, and it's better than him beating a Sami Zayn, for example. Then we had the highlight reel with Sami Zayn, by far my favourite moment of the entire show. Sami Zayn cut probably the best promo of his career in the WWE. He was very genuine here. He just looked at Chris and he said, "Chris, I know that Kevin Owens is your friend, but he was my friend. And eventually, he will stab you in the back, just as he did to me. And if you can't notice that, then you're a stupid idiot." Jericho has a new look again. He came out with a leather jacket and leather pants. Great, I love Jericho. Jericho in the end of the segment would smash Zayn in the face with his phone, which Sami Zayn, who is a phenomenal seller, as we all know, would sell this phone shot like he'd just been hit with a brick, and would cry out in pain, and then Jericho gave him a codebreaker. Really, really good segment here. And eventually, at the end, we found out later on in the show that a match has been booked for Clash of Champions, Sami Zayn against Chris Jericho. That should be a very good matchup, especially on pay-per-view, where they can be given more time. They'll get, a good 15 minutes. So that should be a really, really good matchup. Really looking forward to that match of the night contender on a show that looks pretty good. It looks better than that Backlash show, and that Backlash show over-delivered, so I'm hoping this show over-delivers. We had Cesaro against Sheamus in the 5th matchup in the Best of 7 series, and Cesaro again won, and I love the finish here. Cesaro knew that he needed to win. If he loses, he's lost. He's out, he's done. He's losing. He loses 4-1 to Sheamus. He gets drubbed in the series. So Cesaro used any method possible. He rolls Sheamus up and put his leg on the ropes for leverage. Now, it's bad to me that the commentators go, "Oh, well, he does anything to win because he's a babyface." But it's bad to me that they don't, that's a little bit cheap from Cesaro. But I guess it is any means to win. It showed that Cesaro wanted to win, and he was willing to break the rules in order to win. So I like that. I love the finish. Very good matchup, 3.25 stars. These guys have a different match every single week. So you cannot fault these guys. Every finish of the matches they've had so far, when you look at, Sheamus won the finish at SummerSlam, was actually a pretty straightforward finish. He then beat him with the ring post spot where he body dropped him into the ring post. Then there was the one where he just destroyed his back. Cesaro would then win in London with a roll up, and then here he won with the ropes. If they're turning Cesaro heel, great, but you probably shouldn't. Every finish in this series has been great so far, and it looks like they're going to wrap things up at Clash of Champions with the 7th matchup. That should be a really good match. I'm looking forward to that final matchup, because the best matchup of your best of 7 or your best of 5 should always be that last one, and I think those guys could have a really good 4-star match, so looking forward to that. Rollins and Mick Foley would be backstage. Foley would ask Rollins to not intervene in the main event between Reigns and Kevin Owens. Rollins' issue isn't really with Kevin Owens, so my thought was, why would he? Why would he have an issue with Owens, who just took an opportunity? I know Rollins is now a babyface, but in this segment, he really didn't seem like it. He seemed to me like a heel. He was going, "Yeah, Mick, what are you going to do if I do? It's like, there's going to be serious consequences." And Rollins is just pushing it off like a heel. And I don't know if there was miscommunication in the promo where Rollins was supposed to be a babyface and it just didn't come off the way, but I saw it as he looks like a heel. And please, you need to go full out babyface, have him get destroyed maybe at Clash of Champions, and somehow fight and then lose, and you just need to turn this guy babyface. You really, really do. You need to fully go babyface with him no matter what. He needs to be the top babyface on the brand. We then had Nia Jax against Alicia Fox. Again, one of the best segments of the night. And these women had a horrible segment last week on Raw. This segment, excellent booking. The matchup was nothing because it lasted a couple of minutes. But the booking was brilliant. Nia Jax dominated Alicia Fox. It went to a no contest, but she dominated Alicia Fox. She threw into the barricade repeatedly. She threw on the floor outside and would finish by spearing her through the barricade. It wasn't even really part of the barricade. It was like the Timekeeper's area wall. But really, really well booked. Nia Jax looks fantastic here. Really, really good. Excellent booking here. What did we then have? We then had the New Day against Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. The New Day would mock the All Day segment from last week, which everybody should mock because it was garbage. And the matchup was it was decent, and in the end, it looks to me like they are rebuilding Gallows and Anderson because they have a tag team title matchup again at Clash of Champions, where I say this every pay-per-view, but they might win, and I hope they win. To be honest, they got rebuilt really, really well here. They have a big win over the tag team champions, but they pinned Xavier, and Xavier probably won't be in the matchup at Clash of Champions, so it does give a reason for that matchup to exist. It gives a reason for people to not, just say, oh, well, why are they beating the tag champs when they've got a match on the pay-per-view? They pinned Xavier, not Kofi or Big E. So, good booking, decent matchup, 2 3/4 stars. If I didn't mention, I gave Sheamus and Cesaro 3 1/4. I think I did, but... Tom Phillips would then interview Roman Reigns. Short, sweet, straight to the point from Roman Reigns. I'm going to win, basically. Again, when this guy is short, sweet, and straight to the point, he's great. We then had Jinder Mahal against Jack Swagger, and Jinder Mahal won. Shocked that he beat Jack Swagger, a former world champion. Couldn't care, though, so... whatever. This, to me, like, the first hour of the show was okay. Decent matchup. Decent matchup, and nothing really else in that segment, in that first hour. The second hour, to me, was really strong. The highlight reel, the quality Cesaro, Sheamus stuff, the rebuilding of the Gallows and Anderson, and the Nia Jax excellent booking. And then the third hour was Jinder Mahal beating Jack Swagger, which was, And then we had Tom Phillips interviewing Jack Swagger backstage. Jack Swagger didn't say anything, whatever. We then moved on to Enzo against Epico. Epico won, which, oh my god. Enzo and Cass, 2 weeks in a row now, have been beaten by the Shining Stars. Just horrendous. Just really bad. The matchup wasn't very good. Enzo's not a very good worker on his own. You can see that with Cass, he is 100 times better than he is on his own. So, I'm not rating the matchup. I'm not rating the Mahal match either, because they weren't very long. We then had a package for Braun Strowman. This was okay. And then we had the main event, the only really good thing in that last hour. Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. These guys had a 21-minute matchup. Really good matchup. Great back and forth. Fantastic near falls. Around the 13-minute mark, Seth Rollins would intervene and attack Kevin Owens. Again, kind of made him seem like a heel to me. I know he's angry, but it really did make him seem like a heel to me. Mick Foley then came out and said, we're gonna go talk backstage. And I wanted to see what the repercussions would be. I wanted Mick Foley to say, you know what, Seth? Stephanie's right. You should be suspended, and just suspend him. Because as a heel, him being as a babyface, him being suspended is good, especially if he comes out the crowd every week and attacks Kevin Owens. That is genius booking. But just attacking Owens and then being sent to the back like a naughty boy, to me just seemed a little bit stale. Overall, though, after that, the match went straight back into it. We had a bunch of great near falls, super kicks, Superman punch, Fisherman's Buster, Frog Splash, really good near falls, and in the end, Roman Reigns would hit Superman punch, go for the spear, when Rusev would return, get on the apron. Reigns went for Rusev, Owens gave him a pop-up powerbomb, 1, 2, 3, Kevin Owens beats Roman Reigns, 3.5 stars, very good matchup, and really enjoyed it, very good. Rusev would attack Roman Reigns after the matchup, with the accolade, and that was the end of the show. So it seems like we have a lot of great direction for Clash of Champions. Rusev and Reigns for the US title probably. Gallows and Anderson being rebuilt to go against the New Day. I'm hoping that they win, especially with a big clean win on the Raw show. Zayn and Jericho, great promo on the show, and should be a very good matchup. And then, of course, Owens and Rollins will be one-on-one. So, 4 really, really good matches there. We do also have Sasha against Charlotte, although I feel like that double pin will come into play next week. I really hope it does, because it was blatantly obvious. Overall, 3.5 stars to the main event. Very good matchup. And the show in all, I think I'd probably give a 7 out of 10. The first hour was okay. I liked the women's matchup, and the opening segment kind of exposed the fact that the main event women's scene was a bit convoluted and a bit complicated at the moment. But overall, the decent matchup. Totally, well, it didn't even totally because of the double pin, but it seems like there's an interesting angle. Sasha, of course, winning. The second hour was great. I really loved the highlight reel, and I really liked the Cesaro Sheamus matchup. And the third hour was not very good, but the main event was very good. So 7 out of 10. Good episode of Raw. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Raw Russell. Like, comment, and subscribe for more Sami Zayn shirt today. Tell me your thoughts on Monday Night Raw. Did you think the main event was very good? What do you think to the directions we're going? What do you think to Zayn against Jericho? What do you think to the double pin and the women's matchup? And what do you think to the WWE rebuilding Gallows and Anderson after their poor comedy skits over the last few weeks? Thanks for watching. This has been Raw Russell. I'll be back tomorrow with SmackDown Live. I'll be back the next day with the NXT and Cruiserweight Classic. Thanks, guys.